feels more like a losing battle than something worth dying for. Grab your gear and come on a quest with your band of brothers who will serve as the guides in what we call the masculine journey. The masculine journey starts here now.
Welcome to Masculine Journey. You about heard us praying. Not that would be a bad thing, but
What does prayer mean?
Jim's been gone for a few weeks. I'm like, hey Jim, will you pray? And man, I thought he just kept going.
Yeah,
it was like the Energizer prayer.
I bet I don't get asked to pray anymore.
It'll be a minute. Yeah, no, I mean it was a great prayer. It was just a prayer. I mean it was a good one. But yeah, so he ended just as the music.
A good show.
Yeah, just as music started, he ended. So that was good. So thank you for praying for us, Jim. And so hey, it seems weird that we have, near as I can count, 8 people in the room, and it feels light. Mm-hmm. Like we don't have very many people, which is just crazy when you have 8 in the room. And we're missing of course Harold, which will be gone for a few weeks, and so we wish him the best and gets back to us quickly. And Michael's gone, and he'll be back next week. And just
Art's lost.
Oh, yeah. Where for art thou, Robbie? That's right. Yeah.
Come on, Robbie.
Yeah, that's your saying there. And man, just the list goes on. Kenny. And, just a lot of them we miss seeing.
Sure.
But then Danny's still here.
I'm here.
Danny's over there.
It's hard to miss you if you don't leave. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. Absence makes. I ain't even sure absence would make the heart grow fonder. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When I was married, my in-laws would come and stay for like 6 weeks, and so at some point I go, it's kind of hard to miss you if you don't leave.
Is it absence or abstinence? I've never been sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess depends on who's. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, Andy. No, never mind.
Oh. I should go somewhere. Right?
Yeah. Well, Andy, you have the topic for this week's show, so you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's probably about a year ago. I was driving and song Dreamweaver came on. Hadn't heard it a lot. I mean, in the last 20 years, I guess.
Yeah, a couple decades. Yeah.
And I'm sure I had, but it just brought back, and I started thinking just about how dreams affect us. And we have 2 kinds of dreams. I think there's probably more. There's a lot of different ways God conveys his message to us through dreams, visions, even trances, like in the book of Acts. But to most of the time in our vernacular, we usually think a dream is something like a goal, not a goal, something that's in our heart that God puts there. Sometimes it's not what God puts there, but something that we desire and that is for the future. And, you've got a glimpse of it in your heart, but you haven't seen it come to pass yet. Is one example.
So long-term dream.
Long-term dream, right? And you can have, I have to feel like, these dreams at night that may support that or may not. Joseph was an example of his dream of the sheaves bowing down to him, and then all that transpired. And, you just have to wonder what was going on in Joseph's mind during that time. And then he delivered his whole family, and they truly did bow down to him. But all that, God knew what was going on. Joseph kind of probably did, but not really to the degree it all turned out. But that's what we're talking about here, is how God puts those things in our heart and how they transpire. And a lot of them are tied to our giftings and our desires and all that stuff. But, I think this is the kind of thing that motivates us and keeps us alive and gives us a heart to move forward in life and expect something good out of it.
Yeah, it would have been hard for Joseph to maintain that vision of the dream when he's in the pit,
right? Yeah.
Or when he's cast into jail.
His buddies don't bail him out like they said that, or tell the Pharaoh or whatever.
Things just keep happening
Potiphar
to
it is,
Potiphar's wife, and all that stuff that keeps happening. It'd be easy to lose sight of that dream, and so that you have the long-term dream, and then what was the other one?
More just what we get overnight a lot of times, but it could also be, vision. It could be something short term, I guess, of, hey, this is going to happen that God places in your heart. But all those things, I think, that God communicates to us through our heart of what we're to expect in life.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'd want to point out that a lot of times we treat our dreams, taking nightmares off the table, right?
We don't.
The enemy is over those nightmares for the most part, right? And trying to disrupt your sleep and things like that. We're not going to really talk about that in this show, but even the dreams that seem frivolous, Right. Don't just discount them. If you remembered
Mhm.
them, which most people have trouble remembering the dreams, if you remembered them, just like anything else, ask God, was there something in there that you wanted me to get?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Because sometimes there's things in those frivolous dreams that seem very silly, but really have a deeper meaning when you want to dig deep in them.
Yeah.
And we'll hear that on a couple
Yeah,
clips.
we don't bother to delve into them. We're too sophisticated or too
Yeah.
lazy or whatever. But I think there is a lot there to it. God's given me a couple of those teaching moments through that.
Mhm.
What I also think before we jump in here too is what happens to me overnight when I quiet myself and I wake up. A lot of times it may not be a dream, but I seem to always have a word or something, a truth that I normally wouldn't have thought of. And I think that's our spirit within us that God drops that in there. And it gives us some wisdom for upcoming situation or a different idea about what's going on in life. So
That's good. That's good. So interested to see what God does with the show.
sure.
I had a dream of no, I didn't. We'll go ahead and move on. Danny, you have the first clip of the show. Wow, welcome back to the first clip.
Yeah, and I recycled this one.
Well,
So that's
there you
really
go.
cool. So I knew it was a good clip because it had been played before.
Yeah.
So it's from Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner, and you know he has this dream of this turning his cornfield into this baseball field, and these older players show up like ghosts, I guess.
Yeah, players from the past.
Players from the past, and him and his daughter. You know, I said son in the pre-show.
Yeah.
And you didn't correct me.
I was
kinda
going
scary.
to.
So
Yeah, I was going to on the regular show.
I really
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to bad.
Yeah.
I Googled it. I'm not stupid. I didn't, yeah, no. So, but this scene is where, you know, all the players are out there, 8 of them are out there, and he's invited people in to watch them and everything. And evidently only him and his daughter can see him.
And his wife.
And his wife can see him. And so he's getting ridiculed and all about what's going on. But it's his dream and his vision. And we can talk about it on the backside.
All right, here we go.
Ray, honey, Mom and everybody's leaving now.
Well, it was, thanks for coming.
Ray, think about what I said. I'm just trying to help.
I know.
So I thought you two were going to watch some game.
Because it's not really a game, it's more like a practice. See, there's only 8 of them, so they can't play a real game.
8 of what?
Them.
Who then?
Them. Well, you don't see them?
Karen, honey? What are you watching?
The baseball man.
Baseball. Do you see the baseball man right now?
Of course I do.
But you really don't see him?
I don't think it's very polite to try to make other people feel stupid.
Mom, wait a minute. Mom, wait a minute. Dee, wait. You don't see these people?
It's not funny, Annie.
They couldn't see it.
This is really interesting.
Yeah, scripture, all through scripture, it talks about dreams and visions, and we had talked about some of that. But, you know, sometimes you are allowed to see stuff, you know, a vision of a ministry or something. And, you know, I thought about a couple of different things, you know, when we started ministry in Asheboro and we transitioned into making a transition house. And I could see the vision. And luckily there were people who come along beside me who could see parts of it, I think. But, you know, there was ridicule in it. And because you're casting something that people don't really understand. And that's kind of what I got out of that clip. And you know, when you brought this topic up, because, and Sam, I'm sure you guys did the same thing. We started this ministry. You could see something, but, you know, how's it going to plan out? You know, because sometimes I don't think it's the vision that scares us as bad as the process does.
Right.
And so that's the deal. And God allows you to see, and y'all were talking earlier about the little nuggets that he drops. And I was describing to a guy last night, he's just starting a journey with Christ. And I said, I call them fireflies. You see fireflies all along the journey, some bigger, some, but you'll get them and hold on to those nuggets of what God gives you, because that'll be what takes you on to the next level.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the ministry, and Jim, you were there in the initial conversations we were having it. It was always about doing boot camps. There was nowhere along the way we thought about doing a radio show or podcast, and then all of a sudden our friend Robbie, suggested that we set in one week, and that became a big part of the ministry that we do every week, and unites the team, which is really cool. And so God gave us a big dream, but he had a even bigger dream in mind. And because we're obedient and following in one, he opened the door to the other. And I think that's a lot of times we can't see what those next steps are, right? But he may have a lot of different paths that he adds on to that dream that you weren't even aware of, if you're just obedient and you step out and you walk with him.
I think if he showed you the whole blueprint and the whole plan, you'd run anyway.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure I would.
But usually they're not just one thing either. And that's the beauty of it, is these, the boot camps and the radio show, they go like hand in glove. And so he's got a bigger vision than just one aspect.
I was thinking more like Mitten, but yeah, that works.
Well, I'm sorry.
And like Danny said, we sometimes want the whole picture, and if we get it, we'll screw it up.
Oh yeah.
God wants us to take each step of faith one at a time. When we were called to Alaska, we had all these visions of what we were supposed to do when we get there, and we thought we were going forever. We weren't going forever, and what we planned had nothing to do with what God had planned for us.
Right, but what he had planned was better.
Yes.
Right, in the long run. Go ahead, Grant.
One person to another.
Yeah. We talked a little bit earlier about
hopefully the Lord in between.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about Joseph earlier. Had Joseph seen the whole plan of every step along the way, I don't know that he would have been signed up for it. And that's part of the problem. Or David, even, David was told very clearly that, you're going to be king, right? If he knew all the steps he had to get there,
all the loneliness, and
the
caves, and
all the persecution, all the things that he faced. Yeah. Go to masculinejourney.org. We have a boot camp coming up November 21st through 24th. You can go register. If you need help financially, please let us know. We'll find a way to get you there. We'll talk to you after the break.
Here are the contest rules for the Truth Network. Prizes won are not transferable, redeemable for cash, or exchangeable for any other prize. All prizes must be redeemed from the station within 30 days of winning. Only one prize per household from any station of Truth Broadcasting within any 30-day period. The rest of our contest rules are listed under the About Us link at our website, truthnetwork.com. Thanks for playing and listening to the Truth Network.
Somewhere there's a river rushing through the woods while someone rushes through their day. There's a mountain looking up at the sky while someone looks down at their phone. A trail waiting to be walked while someone waits for a latte. This world is full of somewheres waiting for someone just like you. So go see yours at 154 national forests and 20 grasslands. And to learn more, visit nationalforest.org. The National Forest Foundation. See your somewhere.
I believe you can get me through the night. Ooh, dream weaver, I believe we can reach the morning light.
So yeah, that was Dream Weaver by Gary Wright. And as I look at those lyrics when I picked that today, you could take that as just overnight dream. God kind of gets us through the night. But when you look at it in scripture, the night is always considered like darkness, and this is a tough time, and his dreams get us through. The dream weaver gets us through those difficult times to the morning light, to victory. So
right.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
good.
kind of dense. Y'all probably saw that right away, but anyway.
And welcome back to Masculine Journey. We're glad that you're back with us.
I'll be condescending to myself.
I just want to have fun with you, Andy. You know how that is. Robbie, you actually have the next clip. If you want to tell us a little bit about that or a lot about it, whatever you want to do.
Well, I can't help it. It's just when he brought up this topic, I went back to my journals because, you don't remember dreams all that well. And I just, did a search because my journal's electronic these days. I did a search under dreams and I came across in November of 2022, right, which wasn't that long ago. I had this reoccurring dream of receiving a crown of thorns, and I was having it, and you could see in my journals where I was trying to determine, what in the world did that mean? And when I saw the answer, I was like, man, how cool is that? And how could I forget this? But what it was is that in November of 2022, I was finishing up a very long study on the Song of Solomon. I'd actually memorized the book, and I was trying to analyze all these verses in the 7th, 8th chapter. And the 7th chapter is a pretty famous verse. You hear it quoted quite often where, it's after the marriage night in the Song of Solomon, and, they're certainly consummating their marriage multiple times here. And at this point in time, he says, I'm going to, come up to the palm tree, and I'm going to take hold of what is often translated boughs, or sometimes it's translated fruit. However, when I began to study that word, as I was, studying the whole thing, it became obvious that what he grabbed hold of were thorns. And it just grabbed my attention immediately. I was like, what? He took a hold of thorns, and I went immediately and Googled, because it was a date palm, very specifically kind of palm that wasn't Hebrew. And I said, do date palms have thorns? And no, sure enough, they do. And they're quite wicked thorns. In fact, there's poison in those thorns that rots your bones. If you happen to get one of those horrible thorns, it's pretty, when you see it, it's like, oh my goodness. And then all of a sudden I began to think about, oh my goodness, he is rejoicing in the love that he has for his bride at this point in time, but he is taking a hold of her thorn. In other words, those are the nails, and they are all kind of bitter poison for his, physical life that would be. And I thought about what would that be like to really take hold of your own death in order to save your bride. And, it just led me to a place of worship that was unbelievable, that he truly does, in fact, take that all on himself, and in such a way that he loved doing it. Because as you read the verses after that, and as I recall, it's like the 6th or 7th verse in the 7th chapter, you're going to see that this is this big moment as they're heading off into the sunset of their marriage. And so I remembered this movie clip from the movie Fury, which these guys are facing imminent death. And essentially there's a young guy who's just been trained in the tank. These other guys have been in this tank for years and really had some tough times together. But right now they're facing like a whole battalion of Germans. The radio's out. It's just them against unbelievable odds. And they realize that they're going to die, but they are going to hold this position because it was their thing. It was their orders, is what they were to do. And so what we pick up here is we'll hear the scene where the tank commander is talking about getting lit. And by that means, they're fixing to, he says, we might as well do this. And then, as they're facing this, you'll hear different people, make comments. But then I don't want you to miss, as they are going through this moment that they really have together right before the battle, of the new guy, they give him his war name, right? And how cool is it that God gives us his name, his name as our marriage will be consummated, right, in the book of Revelation. Also, we can have it through boot camps, as we talk about quite often. But as you listen to this clip, you can hear at the end of it, they say, best job I ever had. In other words, they are doing it, but they are doing it with
wholeheartedness.
Yeah, wholeheartedness and some type of joy that's involved in really being able to give your life for your country.
Might as well get a little tight. Won't be around for the hangover. What you gonna do with that?
I'm gonna drink it. I know you had me preach.
I know it. What we're doing here is a righteous act, gentlemen.
You hear me, Gordo?
Mm-hmm.
There's a Bible verse I think about sometimes. Many times. It goes, then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, here am I. Send me.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 6.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Wow. You're something.
Frank Machine, ain't you? Machine, that's it. That's his war name.
That's perfect.
I christened the Machine. Machine! I love it in here. I do. Best job I ever had.
Yeah, and when you think about, from my standpoint, all the heroes, that made up this country, or fought for our freedom, or fought for the church's freedom, or certainly all the disciples and all those people had that moment of really laying down their life, and interestingly, to whatever extent, we all do.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. And and it came to me through a dream that certainly, as I recalled it all, it's really remarkable to me.
Well, as you were describing that, I mean, I've heard that passage several times. John quotes it a different way, right? But
sure.
as you talked about those thorns, just the image of Jesus on the cross, for me, of he took on all of our thorns. That we may have the freedom, and you're alluding to that, I guess. But for me, it was just made it more clear that I'll never hear that passage again and think of anything different than Jesus taking that on, right? That he loved his bride, us, so much that he would take that on at the ultimate cost for him. And so that was really cool, Robbie. I appreciate you sharing that. And so I want to encourage you to pay attention to those dreams. Right. Jim, you want to say something?
Well, I was going to sort of say what you did. It's not too often that I learn something that is as different as night and day from what I assumed, and I appreciate that too. And it makes that mean so more than grabbing fruit.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it ever since you brought it up.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Robbie. I'm going to get one more clip in. We've got enough time. And so I'm just going to play this, and then we'll talk about it as we head out. That was Aerosmith, obviously, with Dream On. And that's the encouragement to continue to dream. If you find yourself right now in a situation like Joseph was, you find yourself in a pit, realize God has another dream bigger than that. Your dream isn't the pit, right? Or if you find yourself incarcerated in one way or another, either physically, emotionally, know that that's not God's dream for you. He has something so much bigger. and continue to dream on. And so whenever you hear that song, and they play it still a lot, it's a classic rock that's been around forever. I want to encourage you to think about that, and also think about those dreams that you could chalk off as frivolous that we talked about earlier. Robbie's dream of having a crown of thorns. Just go, oh, that was weird. Maybe I ate something at Taco Bell last night, whatever that might have been, not to discount it, but to say, okay, is there more to it than that? Because not only did it have a great impact on him, but him sharing it tonight had at least an impact on Jim and I, and I'm sure some of the others here, and hopefully some of you, that you'll never see that passage the same way again, right? That just continue to push and to dream on and to keep pushing through. And then what I wanted to ask about before we head out of this segment is, how do you hold on to those dreams, right? So just what's some key tips to holding on to the things you dream about? Because I'll dream about it and then I don't remember it the next day. So what do you guys do to hold on? Robbie, you have a dream book.
I have a journal, right?
Yeah.
And it's, first thing in the morning. And so if I got something and I go, wow, that's weird, that's generally, I'm going to go write it down. And that's what it is.
Right. And so write it down, hold on to it, go back and look at it. It may be like me, I'll write something down, and if I don't go back and look at it, my notes are kind of pointless. Right. I remember one time, and I'll say it real quick, I was really struggling. And so I took a day and I went up and spent some time on the mountain, and literally went up the top of the mountain and hiked. And I'm praying to God about a situation. He gave me some words. And so I opened up my journal, and literally where I flipped open to, it was the same words he gave me 2 years before that I hadn't listened to. Right. So listen to those things and ask God and seek his heart and ask what he has for you there. Because I promise you, his dreams for you will blow your mind. He's got some amazing things planned. Go to masculinejourney.org to register for the upcoming boot camp, November 21st through 24th. And as always, love somebody well this week. We'll talk to you next week.
coming down through the crackers.
That's not a godly attribute.
Not gonna
You
get
did
it.
that.
Obviously.
Mike, I'm
It's
sort of
already-
surprised you
I
got
didn't
gone after
want to
you
know.
talk on the radio.
How are you?
Our team lost too. Might be God's intervening. 40. It's horrible, man. I hold her back. They made it wrong. They sure did. He's too small.
Well,
CJ Stroud would have been a much better choice.
Well, yeah.
He was, yeah, well. Don't let me get started on football.
Well,
I can
please
break the
don't.
whole thing down to you. I made it rip y'all.
You got to get closer, Danny. Push in.
Push in.
You went.
I'll move away. It makes you more comfortable.
Too close to Sam. I can't think of it.
Yeah, I hear it a lot. I get it.
I rode with him in his car all the way to Ohio. Been nervous ever
Hey,
since.
that's pretty close, man.
How are you feeling, Sam?
Still, okay. I'm still having pain every day. I told these guys, went to the gastro doctor, and he's like, "You have me perplexed. There's no reason you should be having pain, but I am. But I am eating more normal food, and it's not bothering me like it was before. So I know I'm getting better. So I'm just waiting. They prescribed me an antacid that I'm not going to take because I read the side effects. It says it can give you lupus, and I'm seriously. I'm like, I was reading it. I'm like, yep, I'm not taking that.
Hey, I got a great story for you.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. I already had a
Yeah, so let me
medicine
up
give
for
me
some of that.
pancreatitis.
We
I'm
can
not.
tell them that they'll find a reason.
But I do have an appointment with Integrated. What is it?
Robin Hood Integrated.
Robin Hood Integrated, which is more natural medication stuff, in November. So I'm looking forward to seeing them to see if there's a supplement or something that would have the same effect.
Well, they'll hook you up with some supplements.
Yeah, he's been to them too, and I think he's at the thing. You got to watch him.
Yeah.
Because they'll test for everything and keep testing. That's what I didn't tell you the
Yeah.
other day. So you got to watch that.
Well,
They'll
I'll
send you
do-
down to that store.
Yeah.
I'll order it from someplace else.
It ain't cheap.
Yeah, I know it's a moneymaker for them. And the whole membership thing, I don't understand.
Oh, I didn't know that.
$10 membership fee every month once you go see it.
For the
I don't know, for something. I figure I could.
pharmacy, probably.
That's the way they want it.
Whatever it is.
I figure it's.
They're, I mean, when you said Robin Hood, I envisioned you
Probably in the
tied to a tree.
cone right now.
Shooting
Oh, yeah, we are.
They're shooting arrows around.
Coming to you from an entrenched barricade deep in the heart of central North Carolina, Masculine Journey After Hours, a time to go deeper and be more transparent on the topic covered on this week's broadcast. So sit back and join us on this adventure. The Masculine Journey After Hours starts here now.
Welcome to Masculine Journey After Hours. We are glad that you're with us, and we have a really interesting topic this week. I think we have an interesting topic every week, and I know I say those kinds of things, just like I'm glad you're with us, because those are legit. I just don't say them as a platitude. I do actually mean them, and I think I used that word correctly. Jim will tell me later if I didn't. But the this is really pretty cool because I think it affects everybody, but they don't really realize it affects them. And so, Andy, it's your topic. If you want to tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I was driving along about a year ago and heard the song Dreamweaver, and I thought about, who's my Dreamweaver and how does he play a role in my life? And I don't get a ton of dreams, overnight dreams. There's stuff that I've gotten, and a lot of them I wake up. It's about, if you guys have been to boot camps or whatever, you heard the movie Brazil.
Mhm.
It's like it's like no context. You just no story. It's just you wake up somewhere and some crazy stuff's happening.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it is. But there's a lot of times we get dreams that God's trying to speak something to us. And then I think, in the broader sense, when you read the Bible, dreams are for what God puts in your heart about your future, a lot of times about your purpose, your calling, you yourself becoming who you are is a dream. A lot of times we spend our whole life living in our false self.
Yeah.
And just, it's a dream to become who you were created to be. And you'll get all these things, these results, these things that come about. But ultimately, he's going for our heart and dreaming and how that relationship with him will impact your life.
Absolutely. You know, and a lot of how we live our life today is a result of other people living out their dreams, right? If people didn't want to find a land that was free, right, America wouldn't exist.
Right.
Right. And so it's just really kind of cool that, you know, those dreams continue to impact generations to come if we just follow God's lead. You know, the dreams in the Bible that we still read about today that impact us, it's just like, wow, those were so many years ago, but they're so relevant even now.
And there were a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. We named a few in the previous show, but you had Joseph,
Daniel. I mean, Joseph, Jesus' dad, you know, the dreams about fleeing, and you know, there's tons of stuff out there. There's the book of Acts when Peter was in his trance, and the whole thing of the slay and eat, and about take the gospel to the Gentiles. That's a pretty big dream right there.
Absolutely. I'm glad he did.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because I like bacon too. You know?
Yeah, well, that's true.
And then there's John. I mean, and all of Revelation and all are
Absolutely.
still
Yeah.
unfolding.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, way to top us.
That's
Way good,
right.
Danny. You had to just throw it out there.
well, you know, I did have the first clip.
To totally change that subject, on a flight, I got to see Brazil. You don't need to know the context.
No,
It's stupid.
No, yeah, I tried
I
watching
think
it.
it's the point of the movie.
Yeah, I tried watching it. It was not good. Well, I actually have the first clip, and when you hear this clip, you're going to think it's frivolous, but it's not. And I used that term last time. You're going to think it's just silly, right? That why would this even have any impact? But this is from the movie Fletch, and if you haven't seen it, it was in the 80s. I don't remember what year it came out. This is the original Fletch that came out. There's been a couple sequels since then, one with Chevy Chase, one with John Hamm, I think, played it. But this is the original and the good one. And so at least the one I enjoyed the most. But when you watch it, there's a dream sequence here that I'm going to play. But what's happened right ahead of this is someone has been after him for some money. He's been trying to escape and from having to pay something that he owes, some alimony. And I'll talk more about his life on the backside of the clip and why it was important that this dream was. But when he falls asleep, he's taking a nap, and the Laker game's just finishing up, and Chick Hearn is interviewing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then his dream takes over. And so I'm going to listen to it, and then we'll talk about why I played this clip and about him specifically.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest is the most valuable player of the National Basketball Association 6 times. From the Los Angeles Lakers, the all-time scoring champion of the NBA, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he's coming off a game that was second to none in his brilliant career. You got to be proud.
Oh, definitely, Chick. It was a great effort, but, you know, I had a lot of help, and we're just glad to be here.
Hey, how about Fletch?
Well, wow, what can I say about Fletch? He's been fantastic. He boxes out for us, gets the tough rebounds, does the tough things that we need to win. It's great working with him. I don't know where we'd be without him.
Well, let's take a look at the play. He is actually 6'5" with the Afro 6'9". Pretty good dribbler. Comes in deep. His club is behind by 1 point at this stage. Fletch comes in, puts the ball through the legs. What a great play. And he puts it up and in, and the Lakers have the lead. Oh, was that some kind of a play? You know, this gritty kid from the streets of Harlem really creates excitement. $4 million a year, that's true, but he earns every nickel of it. Look how he shakes off 4 or 5 defenders with ease. Fletch, he truly defines grace under pressure.
Yeah, it made me laugh as thinking back to that. Some of the things in the 80s, $4 million a year, we would have thought was, oh, that's just so ridiculous. Yeah. And now you hear it in sports context, you're like, that's all?
That's the 7th or 8th man. I
think. Yeah, he's probably not even on the team very long if he's only making $4 million a year in basketball. But yeah, this clip was pretty key. And when you watch the movie plays out that little bit at the end that Chick Hearn says, grace under pressure. Fletch gets in all these different situations throughout the movie, but each time he has grace under pressure. You know, and it's really pretty cool that that was something that was being told to him and something that was important to him to have grace under pressure. And I really identified with that because there's a lot of dreams I had as a kid, you know, and when I look back, you know, it's the typical things of wanting to come through. When the chips are down, when you don't think that you can come through. For me, it was baseball. It was, you know, always dreaming of hitting the home run at the bottom of the ninth, you know, that kind of thing. And it was coming through when people were watching, right? It's one thing coming through when no one sees you. There's a pressure to come through for your family every day. There's pressure to come through at work. There's all those kinds of things.
It's a hero role.
Yeah, but there's even more pressure when you're under the lights of everybody
Right,
seeing
yeah.
you, right? You're under the microscope. And I think that was something that God was trying to tell me, that, you're wired to want to come through under pressure, right? And I got to remember that, because sometimes it's easier to want to run under pressure. That pressure can make you want to flee, that old flight or flee. And knowing the wisdom to have the difference of when do I need to stand and fight, when would be wise to flee. And that's where I got to lean into God and say, okay, yeah, God, I have this desire you've given me, but how does it play out now? And what's my steps in it? Right. And so looking at this silly dream of him playing for the Lakers is how he kind of lived his life. And I would encourage you that if you're having silly dreams, to invite God into them and say, God, was there anything in that, as silly as it may seem? Maybe there was a nugget. Maybe there was something there. If you didn't listen to the last show yet, go back and listen to it. Robbie had an amazing nugget that affected us all on a dream that he was having about some thorns. And so I encourage you to go back and listen to that. Jim, I thought you wanted to say something. No, you don't have to.
I always want to say something, but it's usually not worth hearing. But one of the things that really hits me about dreams, I get vivid dreams that usually mean something and I remember, and then I dream a lot of other stuff that I forget immediately. But last week I had 2 vivid dreams about a person that had a significant impact on my life. And I hadn't really thought or dreamed about him in years. And then he had a major event in his life while I was dreaming about it that I heard about after I got home. And I said, okay, I could let that go. It wasn't a big deal, but I recognized that God was reminding me some of that relationship while his life was falling apart.
Yeah. Well, Jim, since you have a microphone, you actually have the next clip.
Me?
Yeah.
How special. This clip was offered. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get to a clip. So I thank Sam for the clip. But it is actually from my favorite Christmas movie, which most people are going, oh, no, not that. But it's from Christmas Story. And while I didn't have a dream about having a Red Ryder, I do have one now. But it reminded me of when I was roughly Ralph's age, how I wanted to be a hero in stories and, defeat the bad guys. And that's what the clip is about here. And then we'll chat more about it later. But he is defending his home with his new Red Ryder.
That his family was all against except for the dad, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, here we go.
Mothers know nothing about creeping marauders burrowing through the snow toward the kitchen, where only you and you alone stand between your tiny, huddled family and insensate evil.
Save us, Ralphie. I just know those bad guys would be coming for us in the end.
Go for it, Dad. As long as I got old Blue. Well, what have we got here, folks?
Well, we figure he's Black Bart, Ralph.
Well, should have seen him a trusty old Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle. Lucky I got a compass in the stock. Well, I think I better have a look here.
Oh, he's not.
Oh, no! It's all wrong! Oh, no! Seize it, boys! The train is
Here's another one. Oh, he's a dead-eye 80.
Okay, Ralphie. You win this time, but we'll be back.
Adios, Bart. But if you do come back, you'll be pushing up daisies. And don't you forget it.
Well, man, you saved us. You got us for sure. And you saved us.
I had a vivid imagination as a kid, and I went through a lot of those sort of things that, while they were my dreams at that time, it's amazing how much joy just remembering my dreams when I was a much younger man gave me purpose and led me to be adventurous when I really wasn't terribly. As you guys have probably already pointed out, and I'll make up a word here, my bookwormishness. But in the midst of all that, I was having an adventure of a lifetime in my head, and I still do that sometimes. But I now do have my Red Ryder that I didn't really dream about when I was a kid. But when I was young, I had a BB gun. I think it was on my 12th birthday, which was too young still. But I killed a cardinal thinking it might be a blue jay, and I could have earned some money from my granddad for it. But it also broke my heart, and I must have shot it 50 times to finally bring it down and haven't wanted to kill any animals other than the occasional human since. But I lost my gun when I actually shot a human and knocked out a tooth
BB
of the
gun.
next door neighbor with the BB gun. Yeah, somebody went to my cop days. And the only thing I shot during those times was a rat. And that was on a dare, and I missed. So shot at was a rat.
Was it a dirty rat?
Yeah.
It was down on the dock, so I imagine it was pretty dirty. But,
How old were you on the first pumpkin gun?
Well, when I shot out the neighbor's tooth, I was 12. When I shot at a rat on the wharf, it was 24, maybe. I got to watch out for those dozen divisible years.
Tooth shot out instead of
Yes,
shot out.
and I was very glad I didn't hit him in the eye. And my father was a dentist, so it got fixed. But
Now, does your Red Ryder BB gun have a compass in it like his did in the stock?
no, mine's a basic model, but it has helped keep the squirrels out of the bird feeder.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Andy, you actually we're going through our clips pretty quickly here. So you actually have the next clip and maybe next couple. We'll see.
No, we'll see. Yeah. So
back to the clippy lungs.
yeah, look,
I had more clips than he did.
Sam
actually.
has
and the
been
big red
on
dog.
a roll. He submits 2 or 3 every week these days, so I don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
Not a lot of.
Well, to truth be told, I'm usually more times than not the first one to put clips in there.
You are,
and
you're
I'm
on the
like,
ball.
well, at least we're going to have some clips.
That's it.
So, if no one else gets any, we're going to have 2 or 3 to go through.
Indeed. So this clip is not necessarily what I thought I would submit earlier on, but I found it as I was looking, and I really like the idea. It's about Ryan Bingham and Natalie, his assistant, go around as consultants who fire people. And so you're ending what some would say dreams for people, at least their employment. And in this situation, he's talking with a guy, and the guy, it's like, I don't want to be fired. This is how I provide for my family. And then they get into kind of where the guy has lost his dream. And Ryan has done some research to kind of pull this out of the guy. And it's a really good conversation about how sometimes God gives us a dream and we kind of leave it behind. We don't think it's possible. To me, dreams are enabled through faith. And this guy had kind of lost his faith. He was a good man. He provided for his family, but he had kind of lost faith in his dream.
Oh, go ahead and play it. Here we go.
What do you suggest I tell them?
Perhaps you're underestimating the positive effect that your career transition can have on your children.
The positive effect. Make about 90 grand a year now. Unemployment is what, $250 a week? Is that one of your positive effects? Well, we'll get to be cozier because I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage on my house. So maybe we can move into a nice 1-bedroom apartment somewhere. And I guess without benefits, I'll be able to hold my daughter as she, suffers from her asthma that I won't be able to afford the medication for.
Well, tests have shown that children under moderate trauma have a tendency to apply themselves academically as a method of coping.
That's what my kids will think.
Your children's admiration is important to you?
Yeah, it was.
Well, I doubt they ever admired you, Bob.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be consoling me?
I'm not a shrink, Bob. I'm a wake-up call. You know why kids love athletes?
I don't know, because the lingerie models.
No, that's why we love athletes. Kids love athletes because they follow their dreams.
Well, I can't dunk.
No, but you can cook.
What are you talking about?
Your resume says that you minored in French culinary arts. Most students, they're working the fryer at KFC, but you bust tables at Il Picatore to support yourself. And then you get out of college and you come and you work here. How much did they first pay you to give up on your dreams?
27 grand a year.
And when were you going to stop and come back and do what makes you happy?
Good question.
I see guys who work at the same company for their entire lives, guys exactly like you. They clock in, they clock out, and they never have a moment of happiness. You have an opportunity here, Bob. This is a rebirth. Now, if not for you, do it for your children.
That's a good clip, Andy. I'll give you that. That was really good.
Appreciate it. And it kind of gets into the whole purpose thing, but a lot of times we do in doing our responsibilities. And I'm not suggesting everybody go quit their job and go do what they enjoy to, you know, be a musician because you like music growing up or whatever.
But if you do that, it's A. Thomas.
Andy.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Now it's just
Give
Andy
him the
at
wrong one.
Yeah,
Give him the
it's
wrong
Andy
one.
at Masco Journey.
There you go.
But seriously, I mean, I had a career change, and I'm still in kind of the same role I had, and I did kind of have to step back, but I've actually jumped forward from a salary standpoint. But I enjoy what I'm doing much more, whether it's my dream, something I dreamed of. It's something I probably didn't know possible, and it's like a gift from God to kind of lead me into it. But I think the gift or the how I've experienced this dream coming to fruition is about, tell this story many times, but it's about the same time I joined the ministry and got involved with this, where my heart came alive. And there was a time in my life where I just felt like I was off schedule with God, and marriage, work, none of that stuff was working. And there was just a lot of defeat and a lot of frustration. And just kind of, I had a choice in the road of whether I was going to follow him or not, or go another way. And as following him, I began to see that this dream, that was in my heart, that really the expression of that dream, if I could put it into words, was just to become who I am and to be a man of strength. And I feel like that is the biggest thing that I've experienced. I mean, we talk about it. Sometimes I feel very redundant in saying this, but it's the fruit of what I'm living. And I know where I lived for so long, and I know a lot of people are stuck there, that there is hope. And that dream is the anchor to that hope, I think, of finding out what God has for you. I mean, God doesn't put us down here as random evangelists just to go about. He has a unique plan for each one of us to accomplish what he wants done, but more importantly, to experience him in that.
You know, it's a beautiful thing when you think about it, that Christianity is the one religion that promotes hunger and thirst, right?
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, trying to manage your passions and those kind of things. You know, blessed are those that hunger and thirst, because, you know, that's that desire, and that desire comes from dreams and living life to its fullest, right?
Yeah. I think we all have some examples where God has had different plans. You know, I know Robbie had a significant career change that we talked about on the show. You know, me, when I was living in Indiana, we had a plan, all planned out of what we were going to do, retirement plan and everything. God said, nope, you're going to North Carolina. And it was amazing for my ministry life and just a lot of things that never would have happened if it wasn't for God changing that direction. Right. And but I encourage you to walk with him through it. Don't jump.
Yeah. Right.
Right. If I remember right.
Sam at Masculine.
Yeah. And remember I said, don't jump unless God tells you to. Danny, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. We were talking about, you know, one of my favorite scriptures is, you know, he knit us together in our mother's womb. And so there's a specific plan for our lives. But the interesting part, and I shared this with a young man last night, there's specific specifications of where you're going to be in life and what God's plan is. But he decorates that with such a broad stroke of grace and color. And so, he knows, you're going to take the twists and turns, but yet his strokes of grace in your life, really is what makes life colorful.
Yeah, I think he factors in, your desire, your gifting, your personality, your experience, all that stuff. And I think that dream is not just a static picture of what it's going to look like. It kind of evolves, changes. We've kind of talked about that it's not always easy. Plus, just like we've learned on your calling in the masculine journey, is you're opposed too. Your dream is opposed.
Well, and it's not often comfortable.
No,
right? It's usually not comfortable. God, you have to rely on God.
Joseph's wasn't comfortable at all, right?
Pick somebody in the Bible that it was.
True. Yeah.
You won't find
God
not
is
many
not
padded
into
crosses.
easy or comfortable or convenient. So you're messing up when you try to pursue those. Now, I've had more career changes. than
Amen.
Everybody in this room combined. Probably by several dozen.
Don't ever ask him to tell you about me.
When you got a half hour, you can ask me.
One thing that I learned through it is that
one thing we learned through it.
Yeah,
let's not ask you about that.
I should have brought it up. I'll hit the highlights.
Oh no!
What God showed me through that was that I was not happy, not fulfilled in a career if I wasn't serving others. My favorite jobs: police officer, district scout executive, being in hospital work a couple of different ways. Everything that was serving others was meaningful. Most of the rest was a short career. Even at Microsoft, that was serving others, and I enjoyed it. It made me a little
You
crazy.
were a server on servers.
There were no servers back in those.
No, there probably wasn't.
I helped with DOS.
Okay,
so that'll put that in a perspective.
Harold will be enjoying that part of the conversation. Yeah. Well, we do have one more clip, Andy. I know you weren't necessarily planning on playing it, but I wanted to go ahead and play it because it kind of rounds out again what we've been talking about to continue to dream on. It's a revisit to the Aerosmith clip from last time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll let you figure out what you want to do with that.
Okay, so Sam and I both had the idea of using Dream On, and it's another one of those songs where you hear and the chorus grabs you, but what's the words from the verses say? So I cut part of the words, one of the verses out. Let's see where it is.
If you play it, boy,
I'll play it, and then you can tell us when we come back.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's what.
All right, here we go.
Half my life's in books, written pages, living learn from fools and from sages. You know it's true. All the things come back to you.
They come back to you?
I just had a dream. I just had a dream. It just came back to me. Great dream.
Let's wake him up so we can talk.
Well,
about
I threw a
it.
curveball at you, Andy, to be fair. You were playing on it.
And it's probably intentional.
Sometimes it was, not that time.
So half my life in books, written pages, lived and learned from fools and from sages. That could be Harold, So
which one? The sage. I'm assuming.
You want to clarify?
No. I was saying sage.
Sages.
He's got full coverage.
Harold, that's Andy at masculinejourney.org.
It's true. All the feelings come back to you. And so, in that whole thing of just experiencing life, you're experiencing your dream, and it all comes back to you as you're walking through. I mean, this is music lyrics here, but it does tell a story about what we're walking through and how the dream becomes real for us.
A lot of music comes from life. That's why we enjoy it, right?
Yep.
And so Go to masculinejourney.org to register for the upcoming boot camp. It's November 21st through 24th. Again, I've said a few times, but if you're in a position where finances are an issue, please don't let that keep you from coming. We have some partial scholarships and more that we can help out with. So please let us know. Reach out to any of us at our first name at masculinejourney.org. Again, that'd be like Andy, Robbie, Danny, any of those. We'll talk with you next week. Love somebody well this week.